Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And today we are actually building a rental. That was my intent with building this, a rental in Granite Falls. And there is some inspiration for this build. My sweet, sweet friend Reese built this freaking credible treehouse recently. I am going to put a picture on screen for you right now because I was absolutely blown away by what he was able to create. And I was like, Reese, I really want to try building a treehouse now. You have inspired me. That's really cool. And he was like, do it. So I did it. I decided to build these two little tree houses in Granite Falls. I was kind of looking at a few different inspiration pictures as well to come up with a design. I say design as if, I don't know, this isn't a very intricate design, but I knew I wanted two little tree houses and I wasn't sure. This was the thing that I was very unsure of, is I didn't know if I wanted them to stand alone, as if they were their own little tiny homes. Do you know what I mean? And what I decided to actually do, because they were so small, it was so difficult to work with a really, really tiny amount of space. So I ended up making one of them the bedroom and then the other one is like the kitchen and bathroom. So it's kind of a separated little rental space. I don't know, but you can see that we're working on some of the landscaping here because I did want to fill up the underside of these tree houses. I wanted it to look like they were just sitting in the middle of the forest. I just loved the idea. And you know what it made me think of? I've never been to these tree houses. It is like a dream of mine because I just think they're so beautiful. There's I think it's the Bolt Tree Farm or something in, is it South Carolina or North Carolina? Now I can't even remember. It's like my goal to go there and I can't even remember where it is, but they're beautiful. They're like luxury tree houses and I've always wanted to go to them. I'm going to see if I can actually look them up again. I've always wanted to go and that's kind of what this made me think of. But of course, I think these are a little bit more rustic. They're not as luxurious and I think they're a little bit older, I guess I could say. And I used ladders to actually add access to both of these tree houses. I was going to try to use a staircase and I couldn't find a way to make it fit where it looked organic enough for me. So I ended up using ladders. I play tested the heck out of this too, by the way, to make sure that everything worked in regards to access to these tree houses and everything inside of them. Because I was really worried. Sometimes with the ladders, I think your sim kind of, they step off on a certain side of it. So I couldn't remember what side that was. So I had to make sure it worked. But here I am building a little tiny pond and I use this dock from the debug menu from Cottage Living. I think I had another one out at one point. It was kind of a broken down dock and it wasn't as big and then I just couldn't find it again. I was like perusing the debug menu prior to even starting this build to make sure that I had everything I needed. But yeah, I used this dock from the debug menu. I used the tool mod just to lower it into the ground and I did place a fishing sign that pre-populates fish in this pond. Now your sims can't step out onto this dock per se, but they will be able to fish in this pond, which I thought was really nice. And then I went about just bringing through all of this landscaping and trying to make it look really full and still pretty natural. Again, using a lot of the tool mod just to kind of like lower things, scale certain items. It was honestly a lifesaver with this build. I do a lot of the landscaping off camera as well, just because it was taking a long time to really just fill everything in. And I wanted to really focus on the tree houses themselves compared to like all of the landscaping. But I do show a decent amount. I just wanted it to look like its own little hideaway. That's the word I'm going to use. I think its own little hideaway. There is a little pathway from the front of the slot, not the beginning, the front of the slot. And I think there's a fire pit. I did the little like bunny tree stump and the bird tree thing from Cottage Living. So there are going to be some wild animals that are kind of roaming around the property. I was also looking at some of the lot challenges and I was considering adding wild foxes to this lot, but I didn't really see the point because I was thinking it was going to be a rental. You all, of course, could download this and add whatever lot challenges or lot traits that you would like, but I think I gave this a romantic aura. I believe the peace and quiet lot trait. And did I make it a private dwelling? It's either private dwelling or sunny aspect or something, because there's a lot of sun that just pours into these tree houses because they're higher up from the ground on this particular lot. But I think it was a really sweet lot and there's a few lot traits to really hone in on its purpose. Does that make sense? I don't know. But now I'm working with some terrain paint just to define that path, adding some dirt underneath all of this landscaping that I ended up doing, and really just trying to see how I was going to finalize the front. I ended up putting a few different fence pieces, nothing that fully enclosed the lot, but I did add 2 little gates at the front to kind of make an entry point. The more I think about it, it kind of looks a little bit funny considering this is supposed to be out in the middle of the woods somewhere, but I wanted to just define the edge of that lot. And that seemed like a good way to do it. But you can see I'm still working with the tool mod, trying to add landscaping here. It's like the one downfall of working with terrain tools, I would say, is that placing plants without something like the tool mod can be a little bit frustrating, and it's really hard to make things blend in really nicely when there's terrain manipulation like that. So having the tool mod is such a huge help. If you are on PC and you've been on the fence about downloading it, I have now had it permanently in my game for a couple of months. I used to have a really big love-hate relationship with it, but I've had it in my game for a while now, and I think I'm an official tool user. It's never going to be at the level of some other simmers. I will just say that, like literally never, but I can at least play around with it sometimes. But now we are finally working on the tree houses again. I do put a few different activities out here. I put a few little log seats from Outdoor Retreat, which I thought was really cute. There's going to be an art easel, I think, on this particular balcony. Can we call this balcony? Yeah, it's like a balcony, right? On this particular balcony, there's going to be an art easel, and then I believe on the second story one, there is a lounge chair and then a chess table as well. So there are like a few things to do outside, a few different items for your Sims to interact with, because I knew there was not going to be a lot of space on the interior of these tree houses for much of anything. Like at all. I just knew it. I was surprised at how much I could fit once I got onto the interiors, but I knew it was going to be a tight squeeze. And the other thing is, this is now my second build working on a diagonal, like placing an actual diagonal room. And the proportions are so off on the interior. Like the bottom one looks like it's actually wider, and I felt like I could fit so many more items in there than I could in this one, which is just like a straight on one. I don't know if that's just me. I don't think it is, but I haven't worked with diagonals very often, so it's something I'm starting to notice now that I've done it a few times. But this is going to be the bedroom, okay? That's all it is, just the bedroom. I use this bed from Outdoor Retreat because it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite beds, but it is very themed, so I don't get to use it too often. But I did use it here, and then there's going to be just these little side tables. I do end up using, I think, the curtains from Parenthood, or like kids' room stuff or something, because these here were from base game and they just looked a little bit too traditional for me. I kind of wanted maybe a little bit more of a contemporary touch, even though this is a very rustic themed build. And then I used the tool mod to lean a mirror on the wall. I believe, if I am not remembering incorrectly, I believe Sunny Simsy did this recently, and I thought it was such a brilliant idea because we really don't have that many mirrors that lean on the wall. I think we quite literally have one, and it's from Jungle Adventure, or I think it was Miss Griffey. I can't even remember, but so many people have been getting so creative with the tool mod that I've been watching lately, and I could not resist but to do that, because the mirror from Jungle Adventure, I pulled it out temporarily thinking, yeah, this will look really nice, but it was a little bit too big. It didn't really fit the theme that I was going for. So that one from base game was perfect. And then I also tool modded a little robe to kind of hang off the corner of it. I thought that was a nice little detail that I don't do very often in my build, so I decided to do that here. And then I also used one of those console tables and turned it around to hide the electronics, to put it at the foot of the bed to act like an ottoman of some kind. Your Sims won't actually sit on it, but I thought it was a nice decorative piece. And then there's going to be an armchair in this corner once I sort out this very temperamental curtain that was driving me absolutely nuts. But I used this one from Cottage Living in the black swatch. I thought it complemented some of the darker tones in this build. And then there's going to be a little console table where I put a few stacks of books. One of them is placed without move object, so I actually let it snap to the surface, which means that your Sims can access it to read a book if they would like. And I also used one of my favorite table lamps, again, that is very, very themed. It is the one from Outdoor Retreat, yet again. It's like one of my favorite, I think it's one of my favorite game packs. I think it needs a refresh, do not be fooled by me loving it so much. I think it needs a little bit of a refresh, but I love the items that came with it. And I put it on the other side table as well as the console table. And then I was just trying to find an overhead light. And again, I used base game. I use base game a lot in this build. But then we move on to the other little tree house here, just trying to freely place these windows so that it aligned. And again, working on a diagonal was really difficult. You could see I was trying to separate this space to make the bathroom. That was my goal, and I just couldn't do it in the spot that I wanted to. It was splitting this little cabin in half, and that is not what I wanted. I needed a smaller space, but then realizing that the 2-tile long bathroom here on a diagonal actually created enough space to put the toilet and shower in together. I didn't think that was going to work, but it worked fine. And then in this corner is going to be the little kitchen area. It's a little bit spread out. And again, the proportions on the diagonal left these countertops clipping together as they should, but one of them was literally going through the wall, and it kind of drove me nuts. So I did end up using one of the end pieces just to make it look flush with the other countertop, and I ended up getting rid of that other countertop because it is where I actually ended up placing the stove, but I was kind of having a little bit of difficulty laying out this kitchen because it's such a small space, but I did put some floating shelves there, and these are the countertops from the Country Kitchen kit. I was going to use the ones from Cottage Living, but I think these are almost a little bit more rustic in the way that I was looking for them to be, but I did use this table from Cottage Living because it's very, very cute and tiny, and these beautiful chairs that we got with Outdoor Retreat. Yet again, I used them outside with the chess table as well. And then I put a little console table here with a television so your Sims can actually chill out if they want and they don't want to be outside. But that is actually pretty much it for the build. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts. Definitely let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!
I'm going back up to make my last stand. I'm gonna dust it off with my own hands. Black blizzard coming, old man keep running. You better get out while you can. We were broke, cold, letting pushed out. Thought I heard it so, to up and leave this town. Head out west, they say, maybe California.